Jiva here for day 3 of my self-expression challenge. And today I wanted to talk about working with anger, or really any difficult emotions, but anger has been one that has been coming up for me more than normal recently, so I've been actively working on it and wanted to share some of the stuff that I've been learning. And so I think 2 main things today. One is talking about sort of acceptance, and I'll share some stuff from this book from Tara Brach. And the other thing is sort of an antidote to patience according to the Buddha, and information from my teacher Geshe Kelsang that I can go into as well. So firstly, anger, I think if we start by recognizing it, I didn't realize until recently that it's sort of well, at least for me, it's sort of this surging feeling that kind of comes from my lower body up into my chest. And so I think firstly, even recognizing that is super helpful, because you know that your mind is entering a state of anger, which can give you a clue of like, okay, maybe I need to just be with myself for a moment. Rather than scorch the village, you know? And I think personally, for most of my life, I repressed anger. I had this sort of story of, I'm only lovable if I'm perfect, you know, and that meant, you know, being good and being approachable and being nice, and in the spectrum of emotions, like anger was not something that I thought was permissible. So I just squished it, you know, I just squished it. And you can guess how that went, you know. At some point I just bubbled over in frustration and anger, and that wasn't helpful to me or the people I was being frustrated to. And so, yeah, I think first step is being able to recognize it. And that's probably a good segue into this book by Tara Brach. She has this beautiful meditation called Rain, which you can look up afterwards. Or if anyone wants, you can comment me and I can send you a link. But essentially the main part of her teaching is sort of shifting from any shame or guilt or judgment into just total acceptance. Like anger, like any emotion, is just part of our human experience. We're messy, beautiful, loving, wonderful things, and that includes anger. And that was kind of mind-blowing for me. It might not be for a lot of people, but as someone who'd repressed it their whole life, it was actually very liberating to be like, oh, I'm allowed to be angry sometimes, and that's acceptable. Like, I'm just human, like all of us. And from that place of radical acceptance, you can start to explore sort of where that anger is coming from, like what it's trying to tell you. Like, in essence, anger is a response of like trying to protect yourself when something feels unsafe. Whether or not it is actually unsafe is a whole different conversation, but the nature of anger is to try to be helpful, based on your reality at that moment. And so using anger as a clue for sort of what's going on in my inner world here, where am I feeling unsafe or triggered or needing to defend myself. And anger in that sense can actually give us great information about sort of where we're stuck or where we have resistance. And so, yeah, if we think about the journey of emotional work, sort of recognize the emotion in the first place, being curious, like acknowledging it's here, and sort of exploring, inspecting what it's trying to tell you. And then the last step in that rain meditation I mentioned is nurture, which is really just bring love and kindness and curiosity to that part of you that was feeling unsafe or triggered. And I find that a really, really therapeutic, really healing method. To work with anger where it's more overt or more raw or more present. And you can do that rain method just quickly, kind of just getting yourself centered and thinking through the steps. And I think even more potently in like a proper 20-minute sit, like meditate on it. And it's probably not easy to do right away. You might need a little bit of time to kind of cool the jets. But yeah, it was a major breakthrough for me, not seeing anger as shameful, but seeing it as a clue for kind of how I can try to heal myself even further. So yeah, strongly encourage playing with that idea, and if I can help, just let me know. And so if you think about that part as sort of the going from difficult to normal, or like difficult to regulated, I would say whilst anger is like not shameful and it's normal and it's part of being human, when we express it in the moment, it rarely has the desired impact. So just purely from an effective standpoint, like if you think about a conflict with your partner, for instance, when you get angry and go, well, stuff you, you did this and you're the problem, it's not very often that the person will go, yeah, you're right, thanks for letting me know. It usually causes more escalation. So anyway, if you want to be someone with more peacefulness and less conflict and less anger in your life, the work with anger ultimately becomes work on patience, which seems counterintuitive, I know. But the antidote to anger is patience. And so if you want less anger in your life, what we have to do is practice patient acceptance. And so that's talked about a lot in the book How to Solve Our Human Problems by Geshe Kelsang. It's a beautiful, easy to read book. Strongly recommend. But essentially, if you think about the law of karma or the law of cause and effect, if something's already ripened, like if you're already experiencing the difficulty, there's nothing you can do about it. So understanding that the anger has no benefit at all other than to tell you you're angry, which is helpful. If we can apply patience in that moment and kind of wholeheartedly accept what's coming up, knowing that like everything, it will come and it will go, it can be an incredibly powerful practice where over months and years, many of the major things that cause us frustration and anger in our day-to-day life simply go away because our mental continuum experiences them with patience and ease, not with that's the cause of my suffering. And so the inside-out game of cultivating states of mind that you actually want is very powerful. And so anger is one of the main barriers to happiness for humans. And so if we increase our capacity for patience, our life gets a lot happier. And patience is a topic that I probably need 2 days to talk about, not 10 minutes. But if you can understand, at least intellectually for now, that like there's the patience of not retaliating that still has a flavor of like holding yourself back. But the more and more we practice, the more and more it can be something that you wholeheartedly hell yes to. Like you're like, hell yeah, something difficult's arising. I'm gonna stay patient and I'm gonna not have to keep dealing with this in the future. Like you get excited about working with it. And I would say that's the main takeaway today. Like if you just take a moment to reflect on the main things that are causing you frustration or anger in your life right now. And you probably have a list of 3 or 4 or 5 things immediately. Let's pick one of them to work with as our object of patience. And so I would advise not choosing your like peak most difficult thing or person. Probably something towards the end of the list that's a little bit easier. But actively making them your object of patience. And in that context, they go from being highly annoying to when you understand deeply that they're your pathway to happiness, because if you can transform them into something that doesn't trigger you anymore, you can transform anything into something that doesn't trigger you anymore. And so my personal example is my dog. Since I've had a baby, my dog has been barking a lot more. Like there's chaos energy in our house with the little toddler, and the dog is not happy with it. And I found myself getting really angry that she's been barking all the time. And I just made her my object of patience. And so every day when she barks and I can feel my tension come, I quickly try to catch it before it gets too much heat, and just go and love her and talk to her softly and give her a cuddle and help her regulate. And it's only been a couple of months of practice, but already I'm in a much more loving state with her. It's really beautiful to see. And so whatever your barking dog is, I would invite you I would invite you to spend at least a week, but ideally a few months, working with something karmically to see if you can make them your object of patience and transform that anger into a much more loving state of mind. And so, before I wrap up, I guess to recap, when you're experiencing a lot of anger or difficult emotions, we can apply Tara Brach's RAIN method. So just recognize the emotion, acknowledge it, inspect, get curious, explore it. Like, what's it trying to teach me? And then give it what it needs, nourish it. And so, to sort of nullify the intensity, really work with the RAIN method. And then once you start getting clearer on what the main sources of your anger are, try to transform them into more peaceful states of mind by applying patience. So I would love to hear if people give it a shot, or your own journey of overcoming anger. I would love to learn from you too, so just let me know. Have a wonderful day.